using the drone as the entry. Well, and then shortly behind that is TenZ. He's got the frenzy, and he's got a kill. Man, all up in Moose's face, and he's getting a jumping one as well on the Thief. I said this the first time I called TenZ. This is his world, and we're just living in it.
He's gonna creep out of showers in the forward position. He takes down one. Now it starts to get scary because TenZ is on a roll with the Sheriff.
But they don't have a read on where any of the Fnatic players are yet. Sentinels go in completely dry, thinking they can walk it through, and TenZ has to do a bunch of work to bring this one back.
Take that opening jewel. Oh, hello, TenZ is gonna find McNeil.
Oh,
and
my word!
Fantastic follow-up onto Doma.
It has been a long road to Reykjavik, where 10 teams arrived and competed, but only one remains standing and able to call themselves the world's best.
This is Tyson TenZ Ngo, arguably the best Valorant player alive.
TenZ is the best Valorant player on planet Earth. #1 in average combat score. #1 when it came to first kills to first deaths. #1 when it came to kills to deaths.
I feel wonderful. This team is amazing, and I feel right at home with them. And hopefully I can continue playing with them because this is the best team I've ever played on.
But TenZ wasn't always the dominant force that he is today. Before being heralded as a god of Valorant, he was a failed Counter-Strike prodigy. He had all the raw ability to become a star in that esport. But when his big break finally arrived, he just didn't materialize into the generational talent he was expected to.
TenZ as well able to chime in, and again, for the player we are hoping to expect more of, and actually, well, we're expecting more. We're not hoping to, we do expect more out of him.
Suddenly, the words choker, overhyped, overrated began to attach themselves to TenZ. And to some, it looked like he might not be as talented as his potential had suggested. But just over the horizon was a second chance at greatness, one TenZ could not afford to squander: Valorant. This is the rise, fall, and rise again of TenZ. While the early part of his CSGO career was in many ways typical for an up-and-coming pub star competing in developmental leagues and open qualifiers, TenZ himself has always stood out from the crowd. And there's an obvious reason for this: his godlike aim.
I'm rotating.
One hole.
Nice!
With highlights like this, it's no surprise that aim became the first thing you thought of when you heard the name TenZ. The Canadian teenager was heralded as a prodigy, and it was only a matter of time before he would make the jump to the next level of North American professional CS. After 2 years of competitive experience, it looked like that moment had arrived in mid-2018 when Dignitas brought him on as a stand-in, but it wasn't to be. Dignitas were suffering from internal disputes, roster changes, and their entire future in Counter-Strike was in jeopardy. They let TenZ go after just 2 weeks, and shortly thereafter, their entire roster followed suit. With nowhere else to go, TenZ returned to competing in stacks with names like Test Takers and Poutine Warriors. It was 2019 when things really started to pick up for the teenage aim star. Under teams like Bad News Bears and Lazarus Esports, TenZ was setting the server on fire in the first half of the year, and heads were beginning to turn.
TenZ just going through the smoke to try and catch a shot onto the planter, has no real orientation, so he's just going on gut. He will somehow find a frag from that position, but he's burning alive, loses most of his health for it.
And
And apparently TenZ is just gonna walk through this smoke. What a bold play. He's found the first. He's making it happen, but he's lost his teammate. He's in a 1v1 with Peter, and Dapper trying to get around the door as quickly as possible. They're dueling off. TenZ looking for the second player. He will swing to find the first. No! And he has the second as well! TenZ, how do you do this? A 3K clutch!
This time around, he had more experience, a more developed game sense, and still that aimbot-like accuracy. So in July of 2019, TenZ joined Cloud9, one of North America's most iconic Counter-Strike organizations, and a team with a history of elevating young talents to stardom.
So obviously when I first signed with C9, or when I first got the message, I was pretty ecstatic, like, because C9 has such a prestige, especially in CS, because they were the only like NA team to win a major. So obviously, like, I kind of jumped on right away. Like, I was immediately ready to sign.
This was TenZ's breakout opportunity, the part of the story where he'd bring C9 back to glory, win big tournaments, and establish himself as one of NA's top Counter-Strike players. But that's not how it played out. TenZ failed to live up to expectations, sometimes being the lowest rated player on the team and looking out of place competing against the region's best towards the end of his tenure with C9. But this was no momentary struggle, no slow start, no beginning to a Cinderella storyline. TenZ's career in Counter-Strike itself would soon come to an end. The fall. Initially, TenZ did show flashes of brilliance for Cloud9.
There are two players on the B bomb side. There's 15 seconds to plant the bomb, and that might be the saving grace for Cloud9 to be pushing all over the map. There's TenZ with a deagle once again. He needs to stay alive. He's got to buy time for his team. Street's cutting off the rotation. There's another one from TenZ. Can he get the last one? It's time he's won the run of all these deagle shots. The bomb can't be planted, and that's a much-needed last round for Cloud9.
What an absolute beast with the Deeg. That is unbelievable. He's so consistent.
But soon enough, in those moments when it really mattered, his performance would crumble.
TenZ has really yet to show up going, he has 4 ADR. Yep, and 0 kills, unfortunately. He's been having a rough start.
TenZ had been brought on as part of a 4-man roster overhaul, an attempt for the struggling org to find their form again and just maybe bring things back to the level of their iconic 2018 Boston Major run. But a string of early tournament exits and 2-0 scorelines brought that dream crashing back down to earth. So after struggling at Blast Pro Series Los Angeles and a particularly disastrous group stage at ESL Pro League Season 10 Americas, where TenZ was among the lowest rated players in the entire event, the org decided to make a change.
We've recently decided to bench Tyson TenZ, and I know that might be a shock to the community, it might be expected by others, but we think it's the best decision moving forward because there's a clash in desired playstyle among him and the rest of the team.
I'm like the only person that was like arguing with like people, just because like I was arguing on like, I felt like our style wasn't like good. Like I didn't feel like we had a good style, and I didn't like believe in the system. But like it could be my bad, because I remember Damien told me like the system's not gonna work if like everyone doesn't give like 100%.
In an interview with HLTV, Team IGL DAP said TenZ wasn't ready to play at the pro level, describing the Canadian as a lot further behind than any other young player he'd competed with. Joining a premier organization like C9, even if they were experiencing problems in Counter-Strike, was an opportunity for TenZ. It was a reward for those years of dedication to the game and the chance at something great. But within 3 months, that opportunity was snatched away before it had a chance to blossom. TenZ stayed on with Cloud9 as a streamer and a content creator, but competitively went back to playing with an ever-changing mix of stacks and smaller orgs.
So during my time when I was playing competitive CS for C9, obviously it could have went a lot better, but sometimes things don't work out, and everything you go through in life can kind of be like this learning period, or like this single step of like a ladder that you can improve off of. I'm so glad that I signed with them to this day, because I think it did really good in terms of me getting out into the competitive scene, and also like brand wise, it was really helpful.
But just as the curtains began to close on his esports career, an unexpected second chance yanked them right back again, keeping the dream of a prodigy's unfulfilled potential alive. The rise again. That second chance, of course, was Valorant, Riot Games' hero-based shooter that used Counter-Strike as its mechanical and tactical blueprint. With all the ingredients and developer support to become a major esport in the future, this was a golden opportunity for TenZ.
Like the first day, like I woke up at 5 a.m. to play the first day of the beta, like the hour, the minute it launched, and definitely just playing like the first few hours, I knew that I would get hooked onto this game, and I really wanted to just get good at it.
Just weeks after the game's beta release, TenZ was back on a competitive roster as Cloud9's first Valorant player.
Hey everyone, TenZ from Cloud9 here, and today I'm going to be officially announcing that I will be pursuing Valorant over Counter-Strike.
Days later, he became the first North American to reach Valorant, the name for the highest rank in the game at the time.
Oh boys! Let's f***ing go!
Valorant, baby!
We got Valorant finally.
Wait, I didn't get it.
We got it.
Shit.
Wait, so am I NAs first?
Yeah.
TenZ stayed on with Cloud9 for the remainder of 2020, and although the organization itself wasn't winning trophies left and right, the former CSGO man was making a name for himself as one of Valorant's most exciting players.
This has actually become pretty winnable, but Vice has gotten a bit of the intel. If he gets one more kill here, it's going to be beneficial. And he gets it. Is Vice doing this by himself? It's actually going to the TP. It's going to the TP. And TenZ has the block. The time. Oh my word, TenZ. What a play. He is actually a magician. He predicted that.
So much so that the roster was sometimes jokingly referred to as TenZ and Friends. But after what TenZ referred to as a competitive decline for the team in late 2020, he announced in January of 2021 that he was again stepping back and focusing entirely on content creation, at least for the time being.
So as of right now, I would say that I'm just going to be doing content creation until maybe COVID's up, and then I'll kind of redecide what I want to do when there's LANs and stuff like that.
TenZ had put competing on the back burner to focus on content before, but this time, the outcome would be different. Eventually, an opportunity arose to play with a roster making waves in Valorant esports and starting to stand head and shoulders above the rest of the region: Sentinels. It was one TenZ couldn't pass up.
I'm on loan from C9 to Sentinels, so it's forever how long C9 loaned me out. They basically, Sentinels is just taking over my contract, and I'm fully representing Sentinels.
Don't forget.
I was playing with them 1 to 2 days prior, so we weren't even able to practice. Really, I kind of thought that I would feel pressured, and I was kind of nervous going into the match, but as soon as the match started and we're getting into the rounds, I'd say the whole entire team was just like a vibe, and so I was able to just fit in and feel like I was just playing like a normal like ranked game or pug or anything. Like I don't know, the environment was just so friendly and I loved it.
TenZ was immediately thrust into the North American Stage 1 Masters, and if he was even a little rusty, it didn't show on the server.
Spike goes down, number advantage in favor of Sentinels, and oh my gosh, TenZ is just a man possessed. Dapper does it as well.
They smell blood, it's in the water, and they want to finish it off, and TenZ is looking to do it in style.
He's fitting into this roster so well. He's playing his role so well, showing up for high impact moments consistently, and when you've got probably the best player in North America in a situation like that who continues to deliver, that's just so hard to weather.
With TenZ on board, Sentinels dominated their NA counterparts, and in May, they earned a ticket to Reykjavik, Iceland, for Valorant's first ever international LAN.
Hello and welcome to the opening day of Masters 2, our first global Valorant Championship Tour tournament. 10 teams from around the world have traveled to Reykjavik, Iceland to ballot it out for the chance to be crowned the Masters 2 champions.
This was Valorant's biggest ever event, one that would go down in history as a milestone of the esport no matter what the result. And with TenZ, Sentinels cruised into the grand finals in second gear, not dropping a single map in the process.
Once you're smoked out on mid, it's actually so hard to regain that position back and just fire through at somebody defusing the spike. So here, it gets really clustered inside B, even with the forward plant.
And A long, so maybe scratch that entirely because they will go off at the back of that one. TenZ, though, is holding the site still. So this is a problem. And a neural theft comes through to gain more information. And the spike's down, and they have the site sentinels. They are still sitting on this one. And it doesn't look like they're able to stop TenZ. He's going to own absolutely everybody that tries to walk into this site.
This just goes to show the entirety of TenZ Sentinels in the team. It's not a honeymoon phase. They were able to make this work without dropping a map.
It's a record that, when their grand finals clash with European powerhouse Fnatic was all said and done, they managed to keep intact.
Yeah, the jumping that he's hearing, the drone being used, he's like, yeah, there's lack of util now at A. We have a better chance to hit A, but they don't have a read on where any of the Fnatic players are yet. Sentinels going completely dry, thinking they can walk it through, and TenZ has to do a bunch of work to bring this one back into Sentinels' favor.
Yeah, scary stuff. You're trying to take that opening jewel. Oh, hello. TenZ is going to find Magnum.
Oh,
and
my word.
Fantastic follow-up onto Doma. Leaves Fnatic truly rocked after that.
They're running through. Sonar up. Doma's close. They don't know.
Oh my god, he gets flashed! The team flash! The team flash! Magnum's in the smoke here. TenZ.
Oh my god!
Oh, Magnum's got no HP. Not like this! Sentinels! They're gonna get the defuse! They've done it! Sentinels are the Masters 2 Reykjavik champions! And they do it flawlessly! They didn't drop a single map! They have made history here, Riv, because they are the first global champions in Valorant history!
TenZ was the star of the show. He had the highest rating, highest average combat score, and best KD of any single player at the event. As the MVP in the Masters win, TenZ became a bona fide Valorant superstar, one with a dominant LAN performance to back up the reputation.
TenZ is the best Valorant player on planet Earth. #1 in average combat score. #1 when it came to first kills, 2 first deaths. #1 when it came to kills, 2 deaths.
This is the first major result he's ever had in his career, and given that he coming into this was considered the best in North America, I think now that really starts to cement it.
I did not expect to reach the level at where I am in terms of my personal brands or the amount of fans supporting me, my personal play. Like, I feel like I'm playing a lot better than I thought I would originally when I first started playing the game, at least at this fast of a rate. So it came to a surprise with me for just everything. Like, it's crazy.
I feel wonderful. This team is amazing, and I feel right at home with them, and hopefully I can continue playing with them because this is the best team I've ever played on.
And he did. Sentinels announced the signing of TenZ as a permanent part of their roster just days after the event. A player who once seemingly blew his shot at glory in one esport, now arguably the best player alive in another. And the scary thing is, he's just getting started. At 20 years old and now a permanent fixture on Sentinels, all signs point to TenZ bringing home more titles, elevating his game even higher, and cementing his legacy as perhaps Valorant's first true legend.
The legacy I want to leave behind in Valorant is just this kid who who loved playing the game, joined a team, won some tournaments, streamed, had some fans. Like, that's all I really want to know for. And I don't know, just being like a positive person too. I think
That's really important to me.